Anyone that knows me will tell you that my favorite type of character is undoubtedly the dark, silent, stoic type who are usually relegated to the role of deuteragonist. Characters like Genjuro from the Samurai Shodown series, Hiei from Yu Yu Hakusho, Sasuke Uchiha, Shadow, and Vegeta, someone who could arguably be credited with the popularization of this trope, and the list goes on. Two examples in particular that come to mind when thinking about these types of characters, however, are Kazuya Mishima from the Tekken franchise, alongside Iori Yagami hailing from the King of Fighters series. Iori's stoicism making him distinct among most of his contemporaries throughout said King of Fighters tournaments, as they are outgoing, passionate martial artists, or simply flamboyant and eccentric individuals. With Iori in contrast wearing an unwavering sneer during his every encounter, making him off-putting to his opponents or even his comrades. Kazuya shares this uninviting temperament, though one may deem this behavior to be more so forgivable due to his extensive history of being abused and having to be a part of the extraordinarily dysfunctional Mishima family, where merely shouting at each other or going to your room in silence is replaced with tossing each other into active volcanoes and using your father as a human shield. That being said though, the King of Fighters 15 has been out for quite some time already as the newest installment, with the series never feeling better in terms of its gameplay. And Tekken 8 has recently been released, playing as a natural evolution from 7, with its story potentially bringing a conclusion to the decades-long feud between the Mishima family, so there really is no better time to cover this matchup. I will only be using canon material from the main series of games, as well as supplementary material that is canon to those games, such as manuals, spin-offs, or databooks, but I will not be using any spin-off manga or anime material. If nothing else, vengeance and the never-ending quest of pursuing a greater power is all that resides in the mind of Kazuya Mishima. From an early age, Kazuya would face familial hardship through his father Heihachi's fear of the devil gene that resided within his mother Kazumi, turning her into a vicious demon, eventually murdering her in retaliation for making an attempt on his life. Seeking to destroy the existence of the devil gene that had irreversibly destroyed his family, Heihachi would also turn on his own son Kazuya, who possessed the trait, throwing him off of a cliff, but this would be far from the end of their mutual resentment towards one another, as Kazuya would survive this tumble towards his demise, and after training to hone his skills in secret for many years, Kazuya would pursue his father Heihachi by joining his King of Iron Fist tournament, looking to exact brutal revenge. Kazuya would prove victorious, giving Heihachi the exact same toss off a ledge he had dealt him many years ago, but after his father would likewise survive and go on to pursue his son, they would once again do battle, and the cycle has continued to this day. Kazuya's own son Jin, alongside his grandfather Jinpachi, also becoming ingrained in the feud along the way, with Heihachi having multiple illegitimate children, and even several months after his death, both father Kazuya Mishima and son Jin Kazama now seek to end one another and put the never-ending war alongside the devil gene itself to rest. Considering that these battles have gone on for several decades at this point, it's no wonder that both the characters within the story and even the Tekken fanbase often question the complete decisiveness of certain progressions within the Mishima family quarrel.
JGCR, I have one comment for you. Heihachi Mishima is completely dead.
But throughout these battles stretched across numerous years, Kazuya would attain power through facing many different opponents that entered into the King of Iron Fist tournaments, one of which being Paul Phoenix, someone who has consistently demonstrated the ability to destroy smaller structures like trees, walls, or boulders in a single punch. Though Paul has lost to Heihachi's bodyguard bear Kuma on a handful of occasions and didn't ever achieve his former goal of defeating Kazuya, he's still one of the stronger fighters throughout the story, not carrying the devil gene or any Mishima blood. The same Mishimas whose fights are stated to be capable of shattering entire cities, or who compare to prior models of Jack robots that can block city-destroying satellite lasers. But as I just stated, these are older models of Jack, and he gets stronger following each new iteration, as demonstrated when Gunjack can then block a satellite laser that Jack 2 was previously destroyed by. Both Kazuya as well as Heihachi are then capable of no-diffing several Jack 4s even while fatigued after being beaten by Jin, and Heihachi would go on to replicate this feat in the middle of his fight with Akuma and against the even stronger Jack 6s. Kazuya also believes his army would be useless against Akuma, despite the fact they are stated to be capable of laying waste to a city. However, Kazuya's grandfather Jinpachi would be shown capable of creating storms by transforming, which would be equal to about mountain levels of force, or other characters like Feng Wei demonstrating the ability to completely demolish a mountain, alongside Akuma, who fights fairly relatively against Kazuya and Heihachi, repeatedly destroying islands or mountains in a single strike, amounting to what he considers to be child's play, with this Akuma being canon to the Tekken story. Kazuya may be even stronger stronger depending on how you attempt to quantify the amps from the devil gene. In the Tekken Blood Vengeance film, it's directly stated to be a 10 times multiplier. However, aside from series director Katsuhiro Harada saying he liked the movie and believes it lived up to fan expectations in an interview, there is nothing to suggest that it would be canon to the games. Other statements hinge more so on how you would decide to interpret them as well, such as a passage following Jinpachi's ending claiming that if no one can defeat Jinpachi, the world will never be the same, or declaring that Azazel would awaken and destroy the world in the Tekken 6 official strategy guide. These could fall apart when attempting to prove that this is in regards to the entire planet, but I digress. Kazuya consistently sits within the city or mountain ranges of attack potency and rather easily as well. The speed of the Tekken cast and its god tiers is fairly straightforward and easy to grasp, with Bob dodging gunfire and Kazuya believing his armed soldiers are no match for Akuma, making bullet timing or subsonic speeds a solid starting point. However, many fighters get even faster, like Master Raven, who can react to and cut a missile shot by a tank towards her, calc to move at hypersonic speeds, or the aforementioned Gunjack reacting to a satellite beam shot from Earth's orbit, reaching the ground in just 2 to 3 seconds, which would be massively hypersonic. Akuma has similarly utilized various attacks moving at massively hypersonic speeds, reaching Earth's orbit in just 6 or so seconds, with Kazuya demonstrating the ability to react to Akuma's attacks even while he should be fatigued after fighting Heihachi. The more common meta throughout the series though is easily upwards into the ranges of light speeds, as fighters with the Devil Gene are repeatedly seen shooting lasers that other fighters are capable of reacting to, such as Heihachi dodging both Kazumi's laser after fighting her, reacting to Devil's laser while he is trying to save Kazuya's life, and Akuma dodging Devil Kazuya's laser after his fight with Heihachi. All in all, Kazuya is an incredibly impressive and formidable opponent not only within the ranks of his family, but among the wider scope of the King of Iron Fist participants as a whole. But how does his opponent stack up? A series I've covered on my channel before in Kyo vs Ryu, which you can watch here, the King of Fighters details the story of the titular King of Fighters or KOF tournaments utilized by both legitimate martial artists looking to improve, settle old scores, or meet like-minded individuals seeking a worthy opponent, as well as those hosting or attending these tournaments with hidden and more sinister intentions. Iori Yagami has joined these tournaments on numerous occasions for the purpose of fighting his seemingly lifelong rival, Kyo Kusanagi, with the two repeatedly trading blows in bouts that have indecisive winners. Regardless of this everlasting feud, however, Iori is forcibly tied to these tournaments, as his ancestors in the Yagami clan, once known as the Yasakani 1800 years ago, doomed their future generations by making a blood pact with the malevolent entity Orochi in exchange for the power to take on Kyo's ancestors in the Kusanagi clan, despite the fact the two clans had previously worked together to seal Orochi away. This means that Iori is fated to not only die at a young age, but he is also burdened with suppressing Orochi alongside his followers that seek to revive the entity in the modern day, as well as containing some of Orochi's power within his body due to his ancestors' pact, causing him to lash out at random. Though Iori seems apathetic or even sinister on the surface, deep down he is a pacifist who enjoys playing music in his band and taking care of stray animals. However, whether it's Orochi's continued haunting presence over his life, his deceased teammates' mature and vice tormenting him in his nightmares, or his inexplicable rivalry with Kyo that plagues his every notion, Iori can never seem to truly have peace. Though he and Kyo claim their bitter hatred for one another has nothing to do with the feud between their ancestors, it's difficult to imagine what else it could possibly stem from that would have the two at each other's throats for so many years. Still though, this is a rivalry that has run ripples through the history of the King of Fighters tournaments as well as through the minds of both participants and spectators alike. So much so that Kyo and Iori stand atop most of their contemporaries that enter into KOF each year, with Iori declared to be Kyo's biggest rival, and Mature believing that Iori is putting off killing Kyo because once he's gone, there would be no one around who could truly challenge him. But even characters apart from the two like Shizuru Kagura think that assistance from the two of them is absolutely necessary to defeat Orochi, and Maxima considers the special treasures, being Iori, Kyo, and Shizuru, to be in a league of their own. This would logically mean Iori is outright above what the other KOF participants are capable of, such as Takuma being able to stop the Zero Cannon beam that was going to destroy the entirety of Southtown. But he also compares to other non-participants such as Genitz, one of the Hakushu seen creating a storm, attacking with force required to destroy most cities or even a mountain with varying calculations. Though this is no small feat, this is just the power of his base form, and he gets even stronger if you consider the strength provided by his Riot of the Blood state that decimates both his former teammates Mature and Vice and even Kyo himself. This form also utilizes Orochi's power, a being who intends to completely life wipe all of humanity from the entire planet, which could potentially give Iori a massive amp, placing him within the multi-continental ranges of attack potency, but how exactly Iori scales to Orochi is up for debate. While the ancestors of the sacred treasures sealed Orochi away over a millennia ago, there are things to hint that both Iori and Kyo can physically contend with Orochi individually, such as Kyo believing that Orochi is dead after their fight, and Shizuru following up by saying we couldn't kill him before, sealing him away. That's all we could do. implying that now they have the power to kill Orochi, but are only stopped by his immortality shortly after. The long-dead Yagami clan ancestors also reach Kyo through his subconscious and beg him to defeat Orochi, but then separately ask him to do it with Yagami, again suggesting that Kyo can defeat Orochi on his own, but they would prefer if he do it alongside Iori, who declares that the full power of Orochi could only be his own after it tears Rugal apart. Kyo himself also states earlier that both he and Iori would destroy Orochi individually if it appeared before them, but this falls apart when you consider the fact he has yet to see Orochi and that he says, "I know nothing of the past," right before this, in regards to his ancestors fight against Orochi 1800 years ago. You could also chalk up the statements given during their fight against Orochi as another one of classic SNK's awkward translation mishaps, such as when Billy refers to Iori as geese, but the arguments for both interpretations are there. Iori still being above the other King of Fighters participants, however, naturally means that he can move at some impressive tiers of speed, as even in base he can beat down the aforementioned Billy, someone who can intercept bullets, but he should be capable of reacting to both Shermie while she is under Orochi's influence, as well as Benimaru, two fighters who utilize lightning in their attacks, with Benimaru even stated to hit like a bolt of lightning. This would place Iori fairly comfortably within the massively hypersonic ranges of combat speed, but similarly to Tekken, light speed is much more common among the King of Fighters god tiers, as not only does Shizuru use reflections in her clone attacks, but Elizabeth is similarly known as the Arbiter and Will of Light, with her abundance of light-based attacks that Iori should be more than capable of reacting to, meaning on the low end, Iori can move around massively hypersonic speeds, with the higher or bare minimum interpretations being up to the speed of light. As I'm sure you can tell, it's a little difficult to declare a winner now, as the two are completely even in their physical capabilities, hanging around the city to mountain ranges of attack potency, with moving near massively hypersonic to light speeds. But the two also don't have very many hacks or abilities that could declare a decisive winner. However, both here with the scaling of these two individual characters and in general here on my channel, I try to keep things as grounded as possible, since if certain feats appear outlandish or out of place on the surface, that's because they usually are. But there are some other showings within the King of Fighters series that are worth discussing further. Firstly, we have to acknowledge that the SNK Heroines Tag Team Frenzy spin-off game is indeed canon to the King of Fighters, as is stated by KOF 14 director Yasuyuki Oda, who has been with SNK for over 3 decades, working on titles like Garo Mark of the Wolves as well as Samurai Showdown, meaning that he is more than credible. In SNK Heroines, Kukri creates a dimension shown to at the very least be holding some kind of star as a light source, but potentially much more when looking at certain stills of the dimension and considering the fact it contains a night sky. With Kukri also stating that he intends to fuse this dimension with the main King of Fighters reality, and the female King of Fighters participants he has trapped providing the power necessary for this merging, Iori obviously scaling above them. An attempt to refute this would be saying this is merely a dream, since the endings for the characters within the game depict them waking up from some kind of nightmare, but the art book declares that Kukri traps the consciousness or souls of his victims inside this dimension that return to their bodies after he is defeated, which is why they appear to be asleep or wake up in their endings. This is consistent with other KOF antagonists such as Verse, who warps reality across past, present, and future to the point of disrupting time and space, also declaring that they will destroy everything, as well as Psyche, who claims he will erase an entire timeline along with the King of Fighters participants. It is possible that Psyche is talking about only using the gate to rewrite or erase history, but the gate utilizes the power of Orochi, who has similarly said they will return all to nothing. These astronomically higher metas don't only apply to attack potency either, as KOF participants are able to freely move and fight within Psyche's stop time at the end of the King of Fighters 13, with other examples like Shune moving within Otama Raga's dimension that nullifies time and space, or Nakaruru being able to move freely throughout time and space as well, meaning that she could be capable of moving beyond even infinite speed, and like we've discussed already, Iori scales either to or above each of the King of Fighters participants. But like with anything else, however, this is all up to personal interpretation, and I just felt like laying a little more on the table to say that KOF may be stronger than initially believed, especially in comparison to something like Tekken, where the characters are more so human or grounded. If you don't use that much higher scaling for Iori despite the evidence, he could still potentially be considerably stronger than Kazuya via Orochi's life wiping, otherwise the two are physically relative and it could go either way. It's up to you. But that's about all I have for you regarding the topic today. I love both of these characters, and this is a video I've had on the table for a while, so it was great to finally cover these two and get some more fighting game scaling out there. So with that being said, let me know if I missed anything or if you have any ideas for future videos in the comments below. Like this video to support the channel and let me know that this is the type of content you want to see. Thank you all for watching. Happy New Year, and have a blessed day.